There was a high tide at noon, and all this area was underwater at that time. If we pull back a little bit more, Chris, I want to show you here. This is a drain on the seawall here that is supposed to be draining away the expected rains. That's seawater coming through. And as the tide comes in, all this is going to be hit with seawater, and then the rains are expected to follow as well. We've had people coming down to take a look at the situation here. They have not seen this kind of surf in a while. Greg, you were telling me you live here.
I've lived here 50 years.
Have you seen it like this before?
I have seen it like this, but this is about as bad. You know, it's about as bad as I've seen, but I've seen worse. But we have another probably 3 feet coming up.
Yeah.
Because the tide's going to come up in 3 more hours.
And there's no more room here.
Yeah.
The police just told us to leave.
Yeah, I've been here when it's been over this wall.
What are you going to do? That's my question to you.
Oh, I'll be okay. I'm in a little bit of a high ground here.
All right, we have seen some people. We've seen some people who are not in such a great shape.
No.
A little later, we'll show you folks who had to sandbag their house, who are thinking about mandatory evacuations, who've already been cut off from the mainland at least once already today, and the storm really hasn't even started yet. The wind picking up. We've seen some minor tree limbs down, some local outages along Mamaroneck Avenue between White Plains and Mamaroneck. There were some street lights that were out, but not the real big outages that we've seen in previous storms. But once again, take a look at this. The Long Island Sound. That's the Long Island Sound. Those are big ocean-sides rollers, and the storm is making itself felt here even before it arrives. We're live in Mamaroneck. Lou Young, CBS 2 News. Back to you guys.
It's hard to believe that that's Long Island Sound. I mean, just looking at those pictures and the swells and how the waves crash up.
Dead ringer for the ocean, right?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Never seen it like that.
And, you know, just to show you just how dangerous driving on this roads can be right now, we've got some video in from Roselle Park, New Jersey, where a tree fell through the roof of a moving vehicle. The 50-foot tree nearly hit the driver, just missed the driver. Rescuers had to use the jaws of life to get the 53-year-old woman out. Miraculously, she avoided serious injury. She was taken to the hospital, though, for treatment. But once again, this is why our officials are saying stay inside, stay in your homes.
And stay out of parks. Parks are shut down in the city for sure. Trees come down in the worst ways and in the most inopportune times as well. One of the biggest problems in the city after the hurricane finally leaves the area might be getting the subways back up and running. Our CBS 2 political reporter Marcia Kramer has that part of the story for us. Marcia?
Well, Maurice, to quote Governor Cuomo and MTA officials, salt and the subways don't mix. And if the storm surge sends ocean water into the system, it could mean ixnay on subway service on certain key lines.
So we're very concerned about the water surge in the Battery, where most of our lines go down and where the tunnels to Brooklyn go. So that is one of our lowest lying areas, and that's exactly, we've boarded them up. We've put up various different barriers to prevent the water from coming in, but that's my biggest concern.
After closing down the subway system, Hurricane Sandy may pack another wallop to mass transit. Storm surges near the Battery and South Ferry. Surges made up of ocean salt water could further complicate getting the system back up and running.
Our subway system and salt water do not mix very well together.
MTA officials say the salt water corrodes the switches and signals in the system and could force the MTA to replace hundreds of pieces of equipment before service could be restored. Especially vulnerable, officials say, are the A and the F lines, the 2 and the 3, the 4 and the 5, and the N and the R, which all run through tunnels connected to Lower Manhattan.
The switches are really important for controlling the flow of the subway system. They could corrode quite easily. We're also obviously our signaling system. It's an electronic signaling system, and again, the corrosion that can come from there is significant. So just the general ability to run the system and keep it safe is in jeopardy.
The MTA says it's ready with a fix.
We've got the materials and the wherewithal necessary to repair whatever damage there is as quickly as possible.
Well, I asked an MTA official how long the fix would take, hours, days, or tunnels filled with water. Some service was restored right away, but the Canarsie tube carrying the L line under the East River was out of service for several days. Live in the newsroom, I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS.
Hey, Marcia, you know what? I doubt you've had a chance to look into this, but just something to kick around at this point. The election, right?
Yeah.
Next Tuesday. All this infrastructure, all this power, all this damage. Is it an option? Have they even considered moving it, changing things? Is that something that's come up just yet?
I haven't heard it. I have not heard a word from either the Obama and Romney camps. I think you're going to have to wait and see what happens in terms of how fast they can get the system back up and whether they can get it back up in time for Election Day. But I can bet one thing, no matter what decision they make, somebody is going to file a suit saying it's unfair.
That's true. Or if they make no decision, that would be considered unfair too, because you have to think. It's going to be a terrible inconvenience on so many people's part.
Yep.
Getting to but we digress, right?
Most certainly. Let's get you updated now on some bridge. Brog's Neck, Henry Hudson. Now,
mentioning regarding New Jersey Transit, all